Okay, hi guys. This is your instructor Anna, and I was looking at your pruebas, prueba número uno, and I noticed that you're having some issues, some concerns, some problems with the subjunctive. So I decided to make this little project about what it is. What is the subjunctive? Okay, the subjunctive is a way of conjugating in Spanish. In Spanish, we conjugate in two ways: the indicative, el indicativo, and the subjunctive, el subjuntivo. Now, the question is, when do we use the subjunctive and when do we use the indicative? Well, we use the indicative when we are speaking about real events, about facts, about things we believe to be true, even if they are not necessarily true, but we truly believe they're true. And we use the subjunctive, and also we use indicative when we're sure about something, with things we're sure of. We're sure this is this way, we are sure this is that way. Okay? Now, when do we use the subjunctive? We use the subjunctive in a lot of different contexts. Okay, we use the subjunctive when we are trying to influence somebody, or somebody's trying to influence us. When we are expressing emotions, when we have doubts about a fact, an action, a situation, when we're talking about negation, when we're denying something, denial, when there's a lack of knowledge, and we are not really sure that somebody or something really exists. So there are lots of different situations in which we use a subjunctive. Now, how we conjugate regular verbs in the subjunctive? ¿Cómo conjugar verbos regulares en el subjuntivo? Well, we do it the same way we do it with the indicative. You know that in Spanish, we classify the regular verbs according to their ending. We have the ad verbs, we have the verbs, and we have the verbs. Okay, we have the verbs. When you conjugate verbs in the subjunctive, if they're regular, if the verb ends in r, what you have to do is you have to eliminate the ending. Okay, you have to get rid of that r. Okay, and we get rid of the r, and we add to the stem of the verb a series of endings. When your verb ends in er or in ir, okay, er or in ir, we do the same thing. We get rid of er and we get rid of ir, and we add to the stem of the verb specific endings for the subjunctive. Okay, so we have here hablar. We got rid of ar, Okay, we get rid of R, and we have the stem here, and we add endings. Okay, we add endings that we use to indicate that this verb is conjugated in the subjunctive. So here we have the endings. Okay, we have the endings that you're going to use. So if you're going to conjugate a verb like hablar in the subjunctive, you say yo hable, tú hables, él hable, nosotros hablemos, vosotros habléis. And if you compare the conjugation of hablar with in the subjunctive with the indicative, you can listen. You can see the you can listen to the difference. Like hablar in the indicative, yo hablo, tú hablas, él habla, nosotros hablamos, which is kind of different. And if you listen carefully, you notice that the subjunctive endings, when you are conjugating verbs that end in "ar", okay, the letter E sort of dominates. Okay, hable, hables, hable, hablemos, eis, habléis, hablen. Now, when we have verbs that end in er or er, we use the same endings. We do the same thing. We get rid of er, okay, and we add to the stem of the verb, okay, the endings, these endings. And if you listen to it, yo coma, tú comas, él o ella coma, o usted coma, o nosotros comamos, you notice that the A vowel sort of dominates in the subjunctive. Now you can compare both the comer in the subjunctive and the comer in the indicative. Yo coma, subjunctive. Yo como, indicative. Tú comas, subjunctive. Tú comes, indicative. So you can see there's a difference, okay? And we'll do the same with vivir. We get rid of ir. We keep the stem and we add the endings. And these are the endings, okay? Which are the same as the ones for verbs in Spanish, regular verbs that end in er. Okay, yo viva, tú vivas, él viva. In the indicative, it would be yo vivo, tú vives, él vive. Okay, now, and this is very important, and I want you to pay attention. You cannot use the subjunctive wherever and whenever you want. There has to be a particular situation and a particular structure for the sentence, okay? Now, how is the structure of a subjunctive sentence in Spanish? Okay, there are a variety of structures, but we're going to talk about two in this little project. First is the first one. María recomienda que Juan visite Colombia. Now, actually, we don't have one sentence here. We have two sentences. This is a compound sentence. We have the main sentence or the principal sentence, which in this case is María recomienda. And we have what we call in English the subordinate clause or the subordinate sentence, okay, or the second sentence if you prefer. Okay, and this second sentence begins with the little particle, or the correct grammatical name is conjunction. Okay, que. Que is the conjunction that unites both sentences. María recomienda que Juan visite Colombia. Okay, so we need two sentences, we need two subjects, we need, in this case, María, okay, María and Juan, okay, María and Juan, and we need two verbs, okay, María, Juan, recomienda, visite. Now, the first verb, recomienda, is an indicative. It is the second verb in the sentence that is in the subjunctive, okay? And why it is in the subjunctive? Well, because we're using the verb recomienda, recomendar, and recomendar is a subjunctive trigger, specifically a subjunctive trigger of influence. So when you see the verb recomienda, you immediately know that you're gonna conjugate the second sentence, visitar, in the subjunctive. Okay? Recomienda is not only the verb, but it's also the subjunctive trigger. So let's summarize. We need two sentences, two subjects, two verbs, and a subjunctive trigger. Now this is another subjunctive sentence, or a sentence in the subjunctive, okay? And it's a little bit different, okay? We don't have two subjects. What we have is an impersonal phrase, okay? This is an impersonal phrase. There are many impersonal phrases. Es importante, es necesario, es fácil, es difícil, es indispensable. Those are impersonal phrases because the subject is implied, it's not clear who is the person speaking. Okay, so we are not sure who the subject is, so we call it an impersonal phrase. Now, this impersonal phrase is also the subjunctive trigger in this sentence. The second sentence is the subordinate clause or the subordinate sentence, and it begins with que. It has another subject, and because we have the impersonal phrase es importante, which also happens to be a subjunctive trigger, we're going to conjugate visitar in the subjunctive, okay? So in this type of sentence, you need an impersonal phrase with an implied subject, okay? A subordinate sentence or subordinate clause, which is the second sentence. You need two subjects, one that is implied, not clear, in the impersonal phrase, and another in the second sentence or the subordinate sentence, and you need two verbs. And remember, you need also the particle que to unite both sentences, okay? In the next project, we're going to talk a little bit about the subjunctive of influence, and also about irregular subjunctives, how to conjugate irregular verbs in the subjunctive. Okay, we'll talk later.